Today, we're going to explore a feeling I think a lot of us know, even if we don't talk about it much. It's that sense that life can feel, well, a little empty, even when, from the outside, it looks like we have it all.
And that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? Why is that? It's this strange paradox. You've got the job, you've got people you love, things are stable, but there's still this nagging feeling that something's not quite right.
I want you to picture something, just a simple, quiet moment. You're holding a warm cup of tea. Or, maybe you're watching the sunrise. It's beautiful, it's peaceful. In that 1 second, you have everything you could possibly need. And yet, even in a perfect moment like that, the feeling can just creep in. A sense of lack, a feeling that you're incomplete. So, what is going on? Well, here's a thought. Maybe it's because most of us were taught that our value is something out there, something we have to chase and earn and prove, instead of something that's already in here, just waiting for us to notice it. And that programming, that conditioning, it leads us right into what you could call the chase for more. Let's break down what that looks like. Think about a little kid in a garden. To them, everything is pure magic. A ladybug crawling on a leaf, the smell of the dirt after it rains, they're just present. But then we grow up, and life slowly turns into this giant competition. We start measuring our days by achievements. We get into the rat race, not because we love running, but because we're terrified that if we stand still, everyone will see that we're not enough. And so the questions we ask ourselves start to change, don't they? It's no longer about wonder. It's about strategy. How do I get ahead? How do I become important? How do I prove to everyone and to myself that I actually matter? And that right there gets to the heart of it. That feeling of emptiness, it's not always because we're missing things. Sometimes it's because we're missing a connection to the things we already have. It's the absence of gratitude. So let's talk about gratitude. And I don't mean in some kind of fluffy, superficial way. Let's talk about it as a real, powerful shift in how we see the world. Let's look at its ripples. Let's go back to that cup of tea for a second. When you really pause and say, thank you for it, what are you actually thinking? It's not just the hot water and leaves. You're thanking yourself for taking a moment to slow down. And then you're thinking this huge, invisible chain of connection. The person who packed the tea, the woman who picked the leaves, the farmer who grew them, all the way back to the rain, the soil, and the sun itself. In that one simple act, you're not just being polite. You're acknowledging this vast, interconnected web that brought this simple moment to you, a tiny action that creates these huge ripples in your own perception. And what's really fascinating is that this isn't just a nice philosophical idea. It physically changes how your brain works. Let's dive into the neuroscience of it. So inside your brain, there's this network of neurons called the Reticular Activating System, or RAS for short. Think of it like a bouncer for your mind. It's constantly scanning everything around you and deciding, okay, what's important enough to let through to your conscious attention? Now, here's the kicker. You can train that bouncer. If you're constantly focused on what's wrong, what you don't have, who's doing better than you, you're training your brain to look for evidence of lack. And so your world literally starts to look and feel scarce. But if you deliberately practice gratitude, you train that filter to spot what's already here, the good stuff, the safety, the moments of beauty. You start to see the abundance that was there all along. And all of this leads to maybe the most important pivot we can possibly make in our thinking. It's the shift from always asking how to finally asking why. We spend so much of our lives stuck on the how questions. How do I get more? How do I find fulfillment? How do I find peace? But those might be the wrong questions to start with. The real questions, the deeper ones, are why. Why do I feel this sense of lack in the first place? Why do I have this deep-seated belief that my value is something I have to earn? Why do I put off feeling joy until after I achieve something? And when you finally start asking why, the entire game flips. You realize it's all been backwards. You don't need to get more stuff to finally feel grateful. You have to start with gratitude to finally recognize the abundance that's already here. Let's use one last metaphor to kind of tie this all together. Think of your mind as a garden. An untamed mind, one that's just left to its own devices, trained to see lack. It becomes like a wild, tangled forest. It's chaotic, overgrown with the weeds of fear and anxiety. But a mind that's tended to with intention, one cultivated for peace and gratitude, that becomes a beautiful garden. And the best part is, you are the gardener. The seeds, that's what you choose to pay attention to. The nurturing, those are your small daily choices, the practice. And the harvest? Well, the harvest is the life you get to experience every single day. So maybe this whole chase for more has been a distraction. Maybe the abundant life we're all searching for isn't somewhere off in the future. Maybe it's right here, waiting to be noticed in the life we already have.
And maybe it all begins with just 2 quiet words. Thank you.